Did you and Jesse put up a tree?
No.
No judgment by. You think I'm going to judge you for that? Come on.
I'm ashamed to admit it, but no, not this year.
There's no shame in that.
Yes, there is.
Why is there shame? The baby's coming next year. That's when you could do the whole suburbanite thing.
Yeah, true. And trees are out of control right now, expensive. Just out of control.
Plus, I've been to your place. Very nice. It'd be a little crammed for a tree, wouldn't you say? Or you get a smaller one.
Well, yeah, no, that's the problem because it's really crammed right now. And when you came over, like we were still in almost the moving phase, even though it was still far along. But our shit's filled with diapers, and those diapers are soon to be filled with shit.
Yeah.
And
that's the irony.
We could have created some room because we do have a fireplace. We would have created some room in front of that. And no, we would not have lit a fire with the Christmas tree in front of it. That would not happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, we didn't do it this year. Next year we're going to, and from here on out, we're going to. Just taking a year off.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I mean, I'm not a traditionalist when it comes to Christmas because I'm a Jew, but you don't have to do all the stuff. You don't have to put up the lights. You don't have to, put a tree up. It's just whatever you feel. As long as you're celebrating with loved ones, or maybe not even that. If you haven't just a good time, it's all good.
What about lights, though? Are we allowed to wear lights and stuff? This is fun. Huh?
Yeah, for a second I thought that was a dreidel, but no, that's just a little Christmas light.
L'chaim.
Yeah, Hanukkah's over.
Is it?
It ended last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So is that why today's Festivus?
No, I think Festivus, honestly, Hanukkah sometimes falls in line with Christmas and Festivus. Merry Festivus, by the way, everybody. Do you have any grievances to air out, Stephen?
Oh, God, no. I don't have that many.
Do you have any?
Just the fact that the Raiders ruined my life.
And I feel like I've egged it on a little bit by giving your future baby Raider clothes.
No, it's okay. That's those. You sent them from the 0 to 3 month range, so that's going to be after football season. He's not going to have to suffer the secondhand embarrassment by wearing that Raiders. Gear.
You say that, but I wouldn't be surprised. Sometimes babies stay in those little snug little outfits past that time.
Derek, I really hope that my baby's not small enough to still fit in a 0 to 3 month outfit when the NFL season is like 9 months away.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
Maybe 8 months. I'll give it 8 months, but we got plenty of 49ers stuff because people think I'm a 49ers fan. So I got 49ers stuff.
Are you really going to put the baby through that too?
Well, yeah. I mean, with the way that they're rolling right now, I think everyone's going to be rocking 49er gear when this is all said and done this season.
Yeah, but you could put a stop to that pretty quickly, Stephen.
I know, but still, it's very kind for people to get those gifts. And it's cool. I mean, the 49ers have cool colors, I guess.
Yeah, okay. Fine.
What?
Just I would have a hard time with that. I'm a very tolerant man, but if my son came to me and said, Dad, I'm growing up to be a Niner fan, I'd be like, all right.
Tolerant, huh?
Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa, we're coming to you on a Tuesday night. It is a Festivus night. Are the Sharks playing right now? I think it's the only thing sports-wise.
They are playing, right yeah.
Well, there you go. Who are they playing? The Golden Knights?
The old Golden Knights.
Do we have a score in that game right now?
I think it was 1-0 Vegas by the last time I checked.
All right, let's see if the boys can turn the tide when it comes to the Sharks Knights rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into, we haven't done a show in a week, so we have a lot of football to discuss.
A lot to
discuss. But just some quick things that we can talk about, Stephen. We may not be the most handiest of men, but at least we didn't install our TVs on the ceiling like Trayvon Diggs. Did you see the story?
What?
Okay. So Stephen and I, most of the people in the chat, they know my struggles and your struggles too with mounting TVs at our places. Got a spackle after that. Did you hear what happened to Trayvon Diggs?
I did not.
So he's been dealing with concussion symptoms the entire season, and he finally revealed what happened. He was installing a TV on his ceiling, didn't mount it properly, and while he was sleeping in his bed, the TV fell on his head. Well, I ask you, why would you want a TV on your ceiling?
That's number one.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, why is that the excuse? Is that the best that he could come up with? Because no one in
You
their
don't
right
believe him?
mind is going to put the TV on the ceiling.
Well, so do you believe him or you don't?
I don't.
I do.
That's
I think he was
my
just
initial. No, I don't believe it.
Well, that's pretty embarrassing, I would say. Like, at least he's owning up to that. Like, you know, all right, that's not a comfortable position to watch TV in my opinion. Like, usually I put up, like, 2 pillows, put it against your headboard, watch your TV straight ahead. But like laying back all the way with your neck back, that's not fun.
And you know what? These athletes are wealthier than I could ever dream of. They probably have TVs all over the place and figured, you know what? Let's just install one on the ceiling. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. And plus, I'd be worried about that all the time. If a TV, I worry about sometimes if I mounted my TV properly and it fall, and no big deal. It just falls on the ground, it breaks, but no harm, no foul, doesn't hurt anybody. I would be scared to death sleeping with the TV in front of me.
I absolutely
that could fall.
Absolutely.
Especially where we live, where there's earthquakes. I would not. No, thank you.
Far from the days that we are of just simply putting like posters of our celebrity crush like above the bed. That was a big thing, right?
Yes.
Especially with the pop stars back in the day.
Did you have one in particular?
No, I didn't personally, but I know that, for example, my cousin, I'm pretty sure she had one of Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
And I think that was mirrored in Shrek 2 with Sir Justin. If you remember when they go into the childhood bedroom and they go to the castle and Shrek is looking around and he gets all jealous because of Sir Justin on the ceiling or whatever you call it of the bed. It's just very bizarre. Very bizarre. And Mac Van makes a very good point here. If you're rich like that, why don't you just hire somebody to do that?
Exactly.
I literally wouldn't do an ounce of manual labor if I could just pay someone to do it.
Yeah, but you know what? There's a point of pride. Like, believe me, I struggled through mounting my TV, and I bitched and complained, and I contemplated calling somebody up to installing it for me.
Mm-hmm.
But the pride you get from finally figuring out yourself, there's nothing like it.
It's very true. Correct. But also the lack of pride that you feel, and I'm going to use this word again, the shame that you feel when you get it wrong the first time. Oh, there's nothing worse.
Oh, it's definitely frustrating, and you're staring at a bunch of holes, and you're like, well, how am I ever going to get my deposit back?
Yeah.
But
you could spackle.
You got to spackle. I learned going forward, once I leave this place, you got to spackle. But if I was going to hang a TV up like above me, I would definitely get a professional. 100%.
Sure. How do you even do that? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and it's jutting out of the wall probably, and like the top of, well, mine's different, but like some ceilings are different than the walls, where it's got like that weird, like, you know what I mean, like the crumbly tops of a ceiling that won't like hold something in place.
Yeah,
so that's dangerous as hell. Speaking of,
well, hang on. So
sorry,
where do we
put
this among the freak accidents with athletes? Like, this has to be at the top, right? I didn't think anything would get by Jesus Luzardo.
Yeah, he was playing a video game, right?
And then breaking his hand or whatever it was.
I remember that. That was during COVID, right?
Yeah.
What about who was the giant that had a piano stool land on his foot and broke his toe off? Do you remember that?
Oh God. Oh, who was that? I have to
Someone in the chat will remember.
Yeah, I have to piano foot. Giants piano foot.
That'll work.
Oh, God damn it. Oh, this is
John Miller. John Miller was was like really interested in that story. I remember. His whole toe, the toenail ripped off, and that's gotta hurt. Ouch.
I'm not seeing anything besides stuff about the Giants organist. Damn.
No, that's interesting.
Yeah. That's
someone
really
will come
up
up
there,
with
though. A TV on the ceiling.
Yeah.
I still don't get it.
Well, same thing. Didn't Jeff Kent come up with some
concussion beforehand? Because that's like concussion type stuff. All right, I'm gonna mount this thing to the ceiling. Why not?
Yeah, it's a strange thing to do. Okay, as far as like you mentioned hanging like teen idol stuff up above your wall. I guess you can hang a picture of this celebrity, and I put in quotations, celebrity. Did you see who was in attendance at the Miami Texas A&M college football playoff game?
No, who?
Steven, are you familiar with the name Abella Danger?
Absolutely not.
Well, she was there was a crowd shot of Abella Danger. She's an actress.
Yeah.
She's been in many work. And of course, everyone's reaction. Like I remember being, I was watching the game with Alexander Scott at the Athletic Club, and we were watching the game, and I was like, "Oh, I know who that is," and I think a lot of people do. And my question is, was that by coincidence that they just did a crowd shot and they went to her, or is the director of the ABC broadcast such a horn dog that he was like, well, we got to get a shot of Abella Danger. She's a big time porn star.
I think either option is plausible. I just, I just couldn't help but watch. Think, man, this game really blows.
It was blows on many levels. A lot of low scoring in that game. Yeah, but
come from behind victory.
Yeah, thank you. I thought it was very funny where, like, I've been in TV trucks during broadcasts of games, and they don't take a shot unless the director okays it. So there was one cameraman. Maybe it was a cameraman. Maybe the cameraman was just like, "Ooh, yeah, I know who that is. They'll never go to my shot right now. Oh shit, she's on." Damn.
It was quick. I knew exactly what you were talking about. It was a quick split second, though. So I'm surprised that you noticed it in that quick amount of time when you're sitting in a bar.
And maybe it was after the fact where I saw on social media there, but it was like, oh, there she is. There she is.
Because it was quick, and I didn't really know what I was looking at first. Apparently, she is. I think if I saw this correctly, she's not just that, but she's also dating the quarterback,
Carson Beck.
Yeah.
You see, that's a dangerous game. I never know how athletes feel about dating porn stars.
I also would search up her name in the search bar, but I don't know what's going to pop up here.
You know what's going to pop up.
It might not be true, though. It might not be true. It actually looks fake. Maybe what I just saw was fake. It looked like a Bleacher Report thing, but I just typed it out, and that is, it's completely fake. So never mind. Scratch that.
All right. Yeah, Carson Beck not dating Abella Danger.
Yeah. Okay. Of course, anyone who's we're millennials, man. We're millennials who went to college in the 2010s. We know who Abella Danger is.
Yes. I mean, that's why the Mariah Mills and Zion. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Zion story was very interesting. She's a porn star.
Did you see? God, who was it on the podcast? They asked CJ McCollum if he ever saw Mariah Mills around the facility.
Yeah.
I think that was Club 520 with Jeff Teague.
And what did CJ have a good response?
No, first off, he laughed, but he said legitimately, no, we did not see her around there. Yeah. Could have made her a power forward.
Speaking of basketball, we don't need to go too into the Warriors, but just your reaction, Steven. They've won 2 in a row, but Draymond and Steve Kerr getting into it. Yeah. Apparently, Mark Spears is reporting that it's because Draymond is tired of having to defend bigs, and I mean that's something that I've been talking about for a while now. Draymond got so animated with Steve Kerr, it kind of was reminiscent to me of when Eric Spoelstra and Jimmy Butler got into it a couple years ago against the Warriors, funny enough.
Yeah.
And it looked like they wanted to fight each other. And I think there was one point where Eric Spoelstra just mouths to Jimmy Butler, like, what the fuck's your problem, bro?
Right.
And it felt like Steve Kerr was saying that to Draymond, be like, what the fuck are you talking about? And Draymond decided to go to the locker room, and Steve said, fine. And then they went on a 41-18 run after that. Both guys are saying it's not that big of a deal. They're not going to let it linger. But your thoughts on Draymond kind of quitting on the team last night?
Gosh, man. I mean, what can be said that already hasn't been said since that clip immediately went viral and it's going around the Warriors Reddit? Like, I understand from the perspective that Draymond's just a hothead and maybe he does need to be off the team. It feels like, though, beyond anything, and I do think there was a sense of maturity for him to just walk off, because I think Draymond knows he just can't control his temper, and I think there was some of that, and I heard a lot of that last night and into this morning, just that, man, Draymond's a hothead, and he just did what any human should do in that situation and just walk away. But you had to wonder, what was Draymond thinking in that scenario where he had to walk away from an NBA basketball game? Because this wasn't an argument outside of a bar where you're just talking with your close buddy and, you know, you're just way too drunk and you have to just leave and then you can call and make up the next day. Like, you're leaving in the middle of an NBA game. How often have we really seen that, especially at the start of the third quarter? What it feels like, and maybe I'm getting way too forward with this, and I'd love to sit here, and I'm sure you might have this take, Derek, because you're a little more calm and reasoned when it comes to these sorts of instances. But it feels to me the same way that I felt with Trevor Lawrence and Liam Cohen, and I was probably wrong on that, but it feels like this is the beginning of the end with one of those guys, with either Kerr or Draymond. It just feels like, I don't know if Draymond's going to get traded. I don't know who's going to want to trade for him, and I don't know if anyone's going to be willing to give up any assets that are worth trading him. I don't know if you include him in a package for somebody else. I don't know who that would be at the trade deadline, but it's just, I think the saddest part for me is watching how locked in everyone was. Quentin Post clapping, trying to get his team back into it. Steph Curry sitting there just perplexed. And I hear what everyone's saying, like, you're a team captain, you're the veteran, how do you not step in and say something? But I think Curry knows this is what they do, and he's learned after long enough that there's not really any point in getting in between them, because this is between Kerr and Draymond. They're big boys. You know? I mean, Moses Moody stepped in, and good for him. I'm going all over the place, but I think my initial take was, damn, it feels like something's gonna give here. And I don't know whether that's Draymond. I don't know whether that's Steve Kerr in the last year of his contract. I don't know what it is, but I know one thing, and this is beside the point. I do not think the Warriors need to trade Steph Curry. That's what I do know about this one. But back to
Is that a thing that's being brought up again?
A little bit, yeah. But back to Draymond and Kerr. Your opinion.
Come on now. I don't even have one, to be completely honest with you.
Isn't it crazy? We're so used to it by now, and it becomes a situation where everyone's like, well, see, told you this is what Draymond was going to do. It was bound to happen.
I mean, I'll be honest. I was locked into watching 49ers and Colts last night, so when this popped up on the second TV, I was like, all right. I mean, this is Draymond being Draymond. It's always something once a year. And this is not that big in comparison to the Jordan Poole situation or whatever got him suspended. Was it the Nurkic strangle, whatever that was? Oh, no, it was Rudy Gobert, right? Whatever it was.
Yeah, Rudy Gobert was the strangle. Yusuf Nurkic was the slap, and that's one Draymond said he regretted.
But Nurkic also said, like, I hope he gets help or something, or Katie said that. And
no, it was Nurkic.
It was Nurkic. But Katie also agreed with that, right?
Yes.
And that led to Draymond going to the therapy sessions. I don't know if that really had an effect, to be completely honest. I don't know, dude. I think that Draymond and Kerr have had arguments for the last 10 years now. That happened the first year in 2015. It definitely happened on a bigger scale in 2016 when they had that Thunder Warriors game where Draymond refused to go back into the game, refused to lace his shoes up, and Kerr screamed at him, and Lisa Salters heard it all and reported on it at halftime. And then they went back and won that game. This is, feelings get hostile sometimes.
Frustrations, boil it up. By God.
Exactly. But I'll say I'm sick of this shit when it comes to Draymond. I didn't like that he quit on the team. If Kuminga pulled this last night, we all would be like, Jesus Christ, get him out of here. But the fact that Draymond just left the game, that bothers me. It bothers me at, how old is he now? 36? That he still does this stuff? And people could say, like, how mature of him he knew to have a level head and just got out of the situation. To me, that's not maturity. To throw a tantrum to the point where you leave the game, I'm sorry, that is so childish. And I think that Draymond at this point in his career, he knows when he wants to play and when he doesn't want to play. I think that he lets his emotion gets the best out of him, but also I think there's times when he just wants to be thrown out of the game. If Steph's not playing in the game, then he doesn't want to play. So I'm not gonna make too much out of it. I don't think they needs to be traded. And I know that kind of Steph Curry was kind of like numb to the whole thing, being like, it is what it is at this point. I didn't like it, and I don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal. I think it'll be fine by the time we play the Mavericks on Christmas Day. But I didn't like it.
Yeah, it might be something that's a blip on the radar for sure. It's an interesting conundrum that the Warriors find themselves in, because I'd like to ask anyone who wants Draymond off the team, well, are you willing to sacrifice the defense if you want to get better offense? Because they seem to be flowing much better without him, at least in that second half. And I think you can attribute that to what Curry said after the game, which was a sense of urgency. You obviously saw him hit a couple of 3-pointers and a 2-pointer as well, where, they hadn't hit really anything in the first quarter. I think they were or the first half rather. I think they were 3 for 16 from 3. So you knew they had to get back to average in that department. So really all they needed to do was hit a few 3-pointers and they could pull away from the Magic. But the offense did flow better. They did seem to be more aggressive, but I just think that Draymond's just invaluable on defense. And I really think it's a be careful what you wish for situation for those who want him gone, because I think they would be a drastically worse team on the defensive side of the ball if Draymond were out. I don't think that's that's very outlandish of me to say.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but I don't think Draymond's had the best year defensively. So,
I mean, the Warriors are fine defensively. It's a problem of not executing down the stretch. I
think it's a mix, dude. I think there's nights where they're offensively explosive, and there's nights where defensively they just give up a shit ton of points.
Right. Sure.
Sorry, the opposite of that would be like they can't do anything offensively. I don't know, they're just not consistent right now. And look, this doesn't need to be a conversation every time we do a podcast at this point. We're waiting for January 15th when they trade Kuminga, and we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, it's just a topic because Draymond and Kerr got into it on a very public level, and I would love to see Draymond mature, but it's not going to happen at this point. It is what it is when you have Draymond on this team.
It also makes you wonder what's going to be the tipping point here. Like this dude Falcon punched his own teammate at practice and it got caught on video and went viral on TMZ.
There will never be a tipping point.
Like yelling at the coach. I don't think this is going to do anything in terms of what's going to happen as far as transactions. So whatever. You have to move on. Draymond's going to get under everyone's skin. Makes for very good content for his podcast, I'm sure. I like how he kind of defended his turnovers last night. He's like, I only had one turnover. Well, that was a bad turnover that he had. It was ugly. You could tune in at the end of the second half or at the second half there, because the 49ers game was pretty much over at that point, and Riley Leonard was coming into the ball game by the time Draymond made that turnover. So committed that turnover, whatever you want to call it. It's nonstop with this dude. And I think the conversation will reach no end until Draymond's off the team. And I don't know when that's going to be. You just have to take it. I don't really know what else to say.
It's going to be when his contract expires. I don't see him playing for any other team. I don't see any other team wanting to trade for him at this point. He doesn't fit. He's not like this amazing offensive player. He's such a unicorn that works so perfectly with the Warriors that I don't know how another team goes, well, we need that guy. Right. And he's a great player, Hall of Famer, but it's the way the Warriors play that makes him so special. I don't know if that translates to another team. So, so he's 36 at this point, so it makes no sense. So this is what you get with Draymond. It is what it is. All right. Football. Steven beat me in picks, so I finally get to put some of this stuff that the opiners gave me to use. So I leave it up to you guys. All right, I got a couple of jerky options here. I got Ghost Pepper. I got Reaper. And then I got AJ Cruz's Jerk Sauce. And this smells terrible. Yeah, I don't even know what to put this on, like a chip. So I'll ask everybody here, what would you like me to do? Would you rather me do a piece of a jerky between Carolina Reaper and Ghost Pepper? Or sorry, Reaper. Yeah, and Ghost Pepper. I got that right. or you want me to do the jerk sauce? Mac Van says Reaper. Uh, Ernie says Reaper. AJ Cruz says, dude, eat the beef jerky. Wait, eat the beef jerky. The Derek sauce is not that hot. Oh, you just want me to taste the jerk sauce? Okay, I'll try it out later.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, it sounds like it's just for jerk chicken and whatnot, so it doesn't sound that bad. Whereas
smells.
Ghost pepper's like the OG of the peppers, right? But
Well,
Carolina
everyone's saying Reaper. Reaper is the overwhelming favorite right now.
Right. Yeah. Ghost pepper is kind of like the Tim Duncan, and the Carolina Reaper is just LeBron James, who came in tearing up the league.
All right, then. Well, here we go. Yikes. It's going to be a long day tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, Steven. Before I hit this, your thoughts on the small little piece there. Okay,
Which one?
That should be enough. Your thoughts on the let's start with Raiders. Let's get out of the way. Raiders almost beat the Texans, but don't. Texans win 23-21. Your thoughts?
I think they showed what they could have been defensively all season. Like that's what the game was in general to me. It's just what could have been. I thought they were just fine defensively. They were pressuring the quarterback, not always getting stops, but felt like they were flying to the football. You know, seeing a lot of guys making a lot of different guys making tackles, just not giving up. Pete Carroll was fired up. Max Crosby was just a man possessed again. I have to commend him for just what he's been through. I mean, I know that he's making, $40 million a year or whatever the crazy number is, 35 to 40 million. Is it 35?
Close to it, yeah.
When he's making that kind of money, I'm sure that you'll play for anything, but still, the season's lost, and Max Crosby's still playing as if it's week one, and he's got something to prove. So I loved that. And obviously the Ashton Jeanty thing. I think, our good buddy Mike Silver, who joined the program, I don't necessarily disagree with him that Ashton Jeanty is a worse running back than Josh Jacobs was. Like, he insinuated that the guy the Raiders drafted in 2019 is a better running back than the guy they drafted 6th overall this year. And definitively, he's right in that Josh Jacobs had a better rookie season, but I just didn't think that it was fair to Jeanty, because I don't know what potential we could have seen when the offensive line is completely discombobulated and don't know where to go. So I felt like that was a little unfair to Jeanty on that part. And I think what you saw in this game was the versatility, that 60-yard touchdown pass and then that touchdown run where he had the patience of Le'Veon Bell and had the speed to get into the end zone and broke a couple of tackles along the way. The Ashton Jeanty we knew out of Boise State. So it was a fine game, and then kind of got screwed over by the refs at the end, and they helped the Texans get back into it. So I don't really have any complaints. I told you I'm indifferent with who they draft, so I don't care whether it's the number 1 overall pick, the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, or 5th. I'm just glad they stayed competitive. And you know what? It was a game I watched until the end of the 4th quarter. And I haven't done that for a Raiders game in quite a while, at least watching it intently. Normally by this point,
it's that bad.
Yeah. Normally I'm on multi-view or red zone, whatever the choice may be. But this was one where it was my brother's birthday too. So me and Ian haven't watched a Raiders game together in a long time. Nice. So we just popped a squad on the couch. Kids put on Captain Underpants and the Captain Underpants in the front room. That's a TV show now. Nice. A good one. Ian says it's pretty funny. But it was cool. And we were kind of surprised, we were just hanging out because it was his birthday. But then we're like, oh my God, the Raiders they're kind of in it, and every now and then we look at the screen and it's like, oh, Jeanty popped. Anyway, fun one. That's all. I mean,
Jeanty was pretty electric. Okay, let me, here we go. Let me try this out.
Enjoy it. Ooh.
Yeah, it's hot. Okay, yeah. Let me go in a little more. Hold on.
Oh.
Give it a little more of a taste.
How's the jerky? Is it chewy? It's
a little rough, but
succulent.
It's not bad jerky. Yep. Yeah, that's just hotter than any of the sauces.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh, man.
The whole piece? Fuck you guys. I'll do one more. All right. Here we go. 3 bites.
Ernie 2's like, it's not moist. Yeah, that's a good point. Just dried beef, for God's sake.
Okay. I would say it's a good fight by the Raiders. You know what? Here we go. I'll do the whole fucking thing. Fuck you guys.
Oh.
All right. Good fight by the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
For multiple times. Oh, man. Ooh. Multiple times this season, losing 31-0.
Yeah.
And not to be shut up by that defense.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive. And to only have 3 sacks from the Houston Texans defense, where you have Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. Jesus, the fact that those guys, and somebody else got a sack in there, but I'm feeling the sweat. It was not as bad as I anticipated. I mean, you were texting me. We put out our picks. We thought they were going to lose by 36 to nothing. I thought the Texans. I thought the Texans floundered offensively for the most part, and that's what kept the Raiders in the game. Kind of feel like a bunch of sweat come from my bald head here. But I thought the Texans defense would just pulverize the offensive line and get through to Geno Smith a lot more. Geno threw that terrible interception to Derek Stingley, in my opinion, the best cornerback in all of football. But that's where you see, like, the Texans, they have a really good defense, but offensively, they're just so inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with Mike Silver that Ashton Jeanty is not as good as Josh Jacobs. But you definitely see the potential. If he had a good offensive line, his ability to bust big runs and have the big touchdowns that he had, what was it? He had a 60-yard touchdown reception, a 51-yard touchdown run. And that's what we expected to see all season. If the offensive line was,
halfway
good,
decent,
but they're just terrible. So I thought they got screwed in the end. I was texting you. Did the Texans misplay the 2-point conversion with, or not even, misplay the fourth quarter where they scored the touchdown with Dalton Schultz?
Yeah.
And they went up 23-14. Did you not want to go for 2 to make it a 10-point game? Because I didn't anticipate the Raiders coming back in the game, but you never know. And then Ashton Jeanty busts a big run for 51 yards. It becomes a 2-point game. And then the Texans get pinned on, back on their own side of the on the field. It punted back to the Raiders, or could have punted back to the Raiders. They get bailed out by Darian Porter having a really bad pass interference penalty and amazing reception by Nico Collins to seal the victory. So you love to see the fight, but it's the same old with this team. They couldn't win. And I was expecting it to be a lot worse, but it wasn't. And I'm with Max Crosby, where they interview him and say, like, this week when they play the Giants, is it, are you interested at all as far as ramifications for this game for who gets the first overall pick? And he's like, I don't give a shit. You know how many times Max Crosby has had to deal with something like this? So, yeah, I don't have a lot to say about the game. It was good to see potential out of Ashton Jeanty and good plays at times from Jack Besh, but for the most part, same old Raiders. And I agree with what I said last week. I stand by that. I think ultimately they are going to move on for Pete Carroll.
You agree with yourself?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. A couple other things though. Beyond that, because I don't really have any sort of rebuttal to anything that you said. With the 2-point conversion, though, I just didn't think they needed to go for it because I have a feeling they assumed they could get the stop and a 2-point conversion wouldn't matter in the grand scheme of the game, but it did. So maybe they should have gone for it, and maybe it's proof that you always need to be aggressive no matter who it is in the NFL. But defensively, there is one problem that lingers, and this is something I told you I'm indifferent, but this is something, good God, this is something I want to see them do for once. For once. Let's be a good tackling team.
Yeah.
The missed tackles are just glaring, dude. So bad. They rip, dude. They're so bad.
You know what rips, dude?
You know what rips, dude?
Beef jerky.
Like the Lonnie Johnson Jr. experiment, whatever that is. They signed him as a 1-year deal just to get someone on the depth chart. He hasn't really been able to stick around anywhere. I believe he was the one who missed that tackle on Nick Chubb and forced Max Crosby to chase him from behind. So I guess thanks, Lonnie, for missing that and making Max Crosby look good. But
Thanks,
my
Lonnie.
God, that was bad. There's just, I feel like this defense, I can look into it next season and think you make some upgrades there. You don't need any superstars. You don't need to make any sweeping overhauls like you do need on offense. But defensively, like I saw a lot from Malcolm Kuntz Jr., who's been relatively quiet this season. Maybe he's just been rehabbing from injury and needs another year. The Devin White thing, Pete Carroll saying that he's back. I think he had an okay game. He was a little more fired up, but still, it does not erase what he's done this past season. He just has not been very good. And the rest of the defense, like Isaiah Polo-Mao had a couple of hard hits in this game. Darian Porter, he got beat, I think, by Nico Collins on one play down the sideline, which was pretty bad. But I think you just chalked that up to CJ Stroud and Nico Collins being a pretty solid duo. That's just a rookie getting beat. So I feel okay with that. But yeah, offensively, they just need to make so many changes. And good God, do they need a wide receiver? It was good to see Jack Bech get that catch, but when Jeanty's your lead guy and he's only had one reception all game, that's not good. So what more can we say? I don't know, man. In the Fernando Mendoza thing, like I saw Mac Van, I'm not sold on him. Won't be mad if the Raiders select him, though. I'm the same way, man. I'm not sold on him at all, but if they draft him, all right, here we go.
I got to say, I was watching the Oregon James Madison CFP game. I like what I see from Dante Moore. I think he's a little more athletic, but Fernando Mendoza may have more of just the it factor. Had a better season, and he might just be, a savant when it comes to quarterback play. He knows like all of the terminology and reciting a playback. I saw him do an interview with Urban Meyer where he just rattles things off. He's going to be great for a Sean McVay type or a Kyle Shanahan type. But do you think? Let me ask you this, Steven. Do you want the Raiders to win these last two games? Do you care? Like, it's beatable opponents where you have the Giants this weekend, but I think the Giants may win this game because I think they're that better right now from what the Raiders are.
Yeah.
And then the last week of the season, they play the Chiefs, and this Chiefs team is reeling from having Patrick Mahomes tear his ACL to Gardner Minshew suffering a knee injury that's going to cost him the rest of the season. So now they're down to, I don't even know who the third string quarterback. I didn't watch any of the Titans and Chiefs game, but
oh God, I can't remember the name. Olukano?
Something like that.
So, and then like they also picked up Shane. It looked like Mark Burley's name. I didn't even bother to look it up. It's like Shane Buechel or Shane Buckley or something.
Oh, it's what's his name? The old Texas quarterback. I'll look it up in a second here. But
I would look it up, but I can't pronounce it. So I gave you my best.
Did you have it in front of you?
It was Shane Buechel.
Shane Buechel. Shane
Buechel.
Yeah.
Wow.
But like this has happened the last few years now where I remember a year ago, the Raiders had 2 wins and they beat the Saints and somebody else for them to drop to, what was it, 5th overall a year ago, a 6th overall for Jeanty.
Yeah.
They have the potential of getting the 1st overall pick, but do they, I mean, you don't want to win these last 2 games. I think Max Crosby, of course, wants to win it because that's his job as a professional football player in the NFL, and Pete Carroll wants to win those games. They're not thinking about next season. But in order for this team to change, to finally get the franchise quarterback, because Geno Smith is not that guy. He is the bridge quarterback. They need to lose these last 2 games. Yeah, they do. But, knowing the Raiders, they'll probably win them.
Yeah, they got to start somewhere, man. They really got to start somewhere. And I respect it. I don't like it. I don't like telling NFL teams they need to tank. I'm just not going to tell a professional athlete to lose. I mean, of course, do I want them to? Sure. But I'm not going to blame them if they don't. I think that's irresponsible. I don't like radio hosts who do that or podcast hosts who get pissed at a team for winning. Like, I can't get behind that. If they lose, great. If they win, well, shit. But like, I'm not gonna.
Well, how can you honestly tell your team that? Like, I understand, like the GM could put him in a position to lose games, but how can a coach look at his team in the face and say we're losing today?
Right. I I wouldn't be that mad if the Giants, if they ended up beating the Giants, because if the Giants get the first overall pick, is Jackson Dart the guy? Or are they going to go with a quarterback, do you think?
I think Jackson Dart's the guy. They probably just trade down and get a bunch of picks.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe the Raiders are the team they trade down with. But back to like the Fernando Mendoza versus Dante Moore. I think Dom said earlier that Dante needs more experience, and I can agree with that. But one thing that I can tell you, even in his first year where he's become the full-time starter, that dude's unflappable. Like, he doesn't get rattled very easy.
Yeah.
He's like, I've just watching him in late game situations. He just, again, he does not get rattled. And it's, I think, a quality that you can't really teach. And I've seen Fernando Mendoza, I've seen him pull off some, like the miraculous comeback against Miami, which probably should have been the comeback had the Miami defensive player got called for targeting. But I also saw Cam Ward on the other side of that do the same thing. And that's one of the things with Cam that was so big with him coming out of college, was just his mind, his IQ, his demeanor, whatever you want to call it. But I think Dante Moore has that same quality. Now, can I speak to the arm strength, the accuracy, footwork, all those different things? No, I can't. I really can't. And what I do know is Fernando Mendoza has Indiana undefeated and winning the Big Ten championship for the first time since the 60s, and has them as the 1 seed in the college football playoff. Like, I can't. And he's the Heisman winner. And he had a great speech, by the way. We didn't even talk about that. He had a
He did.
speech. It was very classy, very classy.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick between the two, I'd almost feel more comfortable with Dante Moore. There's just something about
the potential. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just something about these coveted quarterbacks, man. Even looking out of this year's draft class, I mean, look at it right now. Tyler Shook is looking really good.
Yeah, he is.
The Saints, and no one thought much of him. You know, they just he was sort of an afterthought. So I don't know. I'm not all in on Dante Moore, but I think I'd be more in favor of that than I would Mendoza. But if Mendoza's on the team, then that's great.
Yeah, I have to look more when we get to draft time. But bottom line is the Raiders are in a position to get the first overall pick once again. And I think for the betterment of the future, they probably should lose these last 2 games. But I have a hard time believing they'll lose both. So we'll see. They can end up with the first overall pick. They couldn't. They could not probably. I don't know. We'll see what happens here. But I don't know. I'm with you, Steven. I'm kind of indifferent on this whole thing where I got to see it to believe it. You can draft Fernando Mendoza. You can draft Dante Moore. You can get a new head coach. But until I see them actually win, it's going to be the same old shit. But if they do get the first overall pick, that's something different than what we've seen in recent years, where they find another, big time skill position, player, whether it's Jeanty or Brock Bowers, and then they get a quick fix when it comes to quarterbacks. I think finally, like we talked about Michael Penix a couple years ago, and they might have dodged a bullet with that one, but if they finally get that first overall pick and get their quarterback of the future, then they're stepping in the right direction.
So, okay, if you think it's Carroll's last year, I'll just ask you on the front end. Who's next?
As far as head coach? Jesus.
Yeah, who do you think's next? What's your
top
contender? I'm challenging you here.
I thought it was going to be Robert Saleh, but he did a sit-down interview with Nick Wagoner and talked about pursuing head coaching jobs next season. And he was talking about how that is the dream, but I don't need to rush it. So I think Robert Saleh is going to be mindful of the places that are open this offseason. And I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if he says no to the Raiders or if he says no to Tennessee. I don't know with their next head coach. At this point, I could see them saying goodbye to Pete Carroll because it would make sense. But also, you brought this up last podcast, and I brought it up before. It's a valid argument that Mark doesn't want to keep paying head coaches. So I don't know. I don't have an answer for that right now. I haven't really thought about it. I think Robert Saleh is the name that comes up because they wanted him to be the successor to Pete Carroll and just be the defensive coordinator for the here and now. So they would, expedite that whole process by firing Pete and putting him in that spot. But I don't know if Robert wants to do that right now. I think he may wait for a better opportunity, a team that already has a quarterback in place.
Maybe not. Maybe go fuck yourself. Now he I also, I get it, but I don't think he wants to ruffle any feathers either. Like with what he's done with the 49ers, maybe he's, I don't know, regained some love for that defensive coordinator spot, and he did talk about, you mentioned that, but um, he, maybe he found out that, look, man, being a head coach ain't all it cracked up to be. But
Well, when you're with a bad organization.
he also joined the Jets, and I don't think he wants to go back to back joining bad organizations. So if there's another spot that opens up, then so be it. But I don't know, it feels like just with all the coach of the year candidates, like they were listing them off on Monday Night Football last night, and I guess we could transition into the 49ers here. They were listing all of them off, and I think that really speaks to just how many head coaches were, or how many head coaching jobs were available last year, and how many of those coveted ones are actually thriving in that role, because they were going down the list, whether it was Ben Johnson or Liam Cohen, and guys who are already head coaches like Mike McDonald, and obviously Mike Vrabel, who's not a first-year head coach, but first year back in the NFL. Just all those head coaching openings that were taken, all the guys that rejected the Raiders, God, they're thriving right now. It's hilarious.
And that just shows you how a head coach would come in and just turn things around quickly. And that's what I thought Pete Carroll was going to do. That's what you thought he was going to do. And Mike Vrabel's doing it right now with the Patriots. Ben Johnson's doing it right now with the Bears. So, yeah, the Raiders are back where they started a year ago. As far as the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, I think, is a coach of the year contender, but not in the same way that Ben Johnson, Mike Vrabel, Liam Cohen are, because those guys are turning around franchises. Where Kyle Shanahan has got his team back to where they were before. So I don't think he's going to get a lot of consideration for coach of the year, but he should, because he's done an amazing job. And last night showed just how great of a play caller he is. And Brock Purdy, dude, he was amazing. That is the best. Honestly, like, I know we put a lot more stock into playoff performances. So he's had great performances. That first playoff game he ever had against the Seahawks, the NFC Championship game where he came back against the Detroit Lions. He's been clutch. But last night was the best I've ever seen him play, to be perfectly honest. He was just efficient. He was damn near perfect. Take away the interception at the very end and the fumble, and that didn't even cost them. He was just dicing up the defenses. And it's to what Kyle was talking about with me and Copes when it comes to a quarterback reading a defense and the value in Phillip Rivers over a younger quarterback, where Phillip could come in right now, and yes, he's not as physically gifted as some of these younger quarterbacks, but just being around the game for so long, with what Kirk Cousins was talking about earlier last week, with the differences between reading coverages and your progressions. Phillip Rivers doesn't know how. I mean, Phillip Rivers can read a defense right now, or he can look at his progressions either way. And I think that a lot more quarterbacks are just going through the progressions right now. But Phillip was so good last night, just reading a defense and knowing where to go with the football. Same thing with Brock Purdy last night. It wasn't like the one touchdown throw he had to DeMarcus Robinson, beautiful. But most of it was just, all right, I'm not getting pressured, but I know when to get rid of the ball, and I know exactly where to go. And the way that the 49ers were humming last night, it was reminiscent of the way that the Rams looked against them in Week 11. I thought it was very similar. And I've been kind of hesitant to say that this team offensively is, unstoppable and right up there with some of the better offenses in all of football, because it's been inconsistent at times this year. And that's because I think there is a difference between Mac Jones and Brock Purdy. I think Mac Jones was a very good quarterback this season, but he's definitely in the same realm to me as like a Elvis Gerback or a Steve Bono to Brock Purdy, Steve Young. And I'm not saying that Brock Purdy is Steve Young, but just as far as comparing the quarterback play. So yeah, I'm rambling on here, but I thought that last night, just watching the 49ers, I still don't have a lot of hope for their defense, but last night was the first time where I'm like, damn, maybe their offense can carry them to the Super Bowl. Maybe, with watching the Rams and Seahawks, we haven't even talked about that game yet, and all of the mediocre defenses in the NFC, maybe you don't need a really good defense this year. Maybe if they just find a way to win these last two games and they have home field advantage all the way to the Super Bowl, that's all they need.
Yeah. I mean, it's so hard to look at that game last night and think anything different, right? I'm still going to say that it's the NFL and anything can happen. It's a week-to-week league, but just focusing on that specific performance, it just doesn't get any better. I don't really know how else to describe it. It was like a continuation of 2023 where it's him dropping back, and if he's making throws in rhythm, it's automatic. Because he's seeing something. He sees a receiver open. It's been really since that Panthers game, and I guess that Jaguars game too. You haven't seen him make any boneheaded decisions since then. And you can call it a continuation from that Cardinals game, his first one back, where he just looked solid. Everything, man. Every throw was just within reach of the receiver. Like, you got to give, I think, the receivers credit. A lot of them made some big time catches. And that first one by George Kittle, for example, they are going to miss him against the Bears. There's no doubt about it. But I think
You think he's out?
I think he's going to miss Sunday, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not for 2 weeks, but I think Sunday he could miss. There's no point in aggravate. Like, you're already in the postseason. Like, it's no risk. But I think Kittle's playing just again at an all-pro level. I just think that if you give him the week off, give him a little break.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, if you manage to get the win over Chicago, then you beat the Seahawks with him, and he usually plays fantastic against the Seahawks. Then you get the week off after that. I think they need to, but anything's possible with Purdy, man. At least based on last night's performance. It's so hard to look at that and not overreact and think like this team can reach the Super Bowl if Purdy plays like that. And we've seen consistent performances now, and that Colts defense, they're no slouches. No, they don't have Sauce Gardner or Charvarius Ward, but they did get DeForest Buckner back, and I thought this was the best game for the offensive line too. So when all those things are meshed together, not just Brock Purdy, but Kyle Shanahan, the offensive line, the receivers, Christian McCaffrey, who I think he had his best game running the football last night, even though he looked like he was grimacing at one point. He still went out and ran for that season high 26 yards. Like, everything that they did, it feels like they can do in the playoffs, and they just grind, man. Like, the fact that Christian McCaffrey, they're averaging fewer yards per rush than just about any team in the NFL. I think they were like 31st in the league or whatever it was. That's like, it's like a hitter in baseball. I know we don't want to cross-pollinate with sports, but it's like a hitter in baseball who doesn't hit home runs, yet has a higher slugging percentage than the guys who do hit home runs, because he's getting so many hits and they're doubles and triples. Maybe they're not home runs or grand slams, but they're still impactful. And I think, like, I've totally come around from where I was earlier this season. Like, sure, I think both things can be true, that he might have lost a step and he's just not as quick as he once was and has that breakaway speed like he did in 2023. But who cares? Who cares? Because he's just able to grind defenses down. And then you have Brock Purdy, who's just kind of like the way I described Dante Moore earlier, was just unflappable, man. Like, there was nothing that could have gone wrong for him last night. And I texted you this at the beginning of the game. That first drive, when they just made it look so easy, you could tell. Like, at this point, we've seen enough of Purdy where you could tell that he's dialed in. It's usually he gets off to slow starts and you're thinking, oh boy, like what's going to happen here later on. But with the beginning like that, where it just takes, 4 plays to score a touchdown or whatever crazy number that was, where it was just boom, 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 boom. Like, you could tell that he was in for a special night. I didn't know he was going to be in for a perfect night. And doing that when the feel-good story, which he once was in the NFL, was on the opposing sideline. All eyes were on Phillip Rivers and the 44-year-old quarterback who's 5 years out of retirement and playing in the Colts dome for the first time since he was called up. Like, that was the story last night. And Brock Purdy stole it, man. He stole the night away from Phillip Rivers, and Phillip Rivers was awesome too. So, God, man, I can't say enough good things. And yeah, there is that sense of urgency, though. I think George Kittle just reiterates it now. He knows, like, this defense, probably not a playoff caliber defense, but this offense, 440 yards and 48 points, both season highs. How can you not just look at that and think, man, maybe they could win this entire thing?
Maybe that's how wide open the NFC is right now. And they haven't punted since November, which is
I think that's a little overblown.
It is. It's a ridiculous stat because they had the bye week after Cleveland, and they didn't punt against the Tennessee Titans, and they didn't punt last night. Also, the Colts, what they did at the beginning of the season, I think is a little more impressive to do it in 3 straight games. But then again, we're playing football in December going into the playoffs, and the Colts have lost 6 in a row. But, yeah, as far as the 49ers, I mean, they do it. Their offense is ridiculous in the sense that they don't have a Justin Jefferson or a Jamar Chase, this big explosive wide receiver. And I never thought that Brandon Ayuk was going to be that guy. I thought he was more of a true traditional wide receiver more than Debo, but I never knew if he was a number one. Now you have a lot of guys on this team that are true traditional wide receivers, but none of them are home run hitters. Like Juwan Jennings, great player. He is a playoff tested wide receiver. I could see him making big physical catches in the postseason. But if you pay him $30 million a year, you're insane. The 49ers offense doesn't need a $30 million a year wide receiver. All that it needs is a good offensive line, Brock Purdy delivering the rock, and Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle. That's all they need to be successful. And yes, you do need Ricky Pearsall to live up to expectations. He's not going to be this, unbelievable first-round talent that most wide receivers are. He's going to be your first down mover. He's going to be another guy just like Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle that's a mismatch on one-on-one coverage and man coverage. That's the biggest thing I keep talking about from the Super Bowl 2 years ago, where Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel could not get off man coverage. Now, it's just so simple for Brock, where you and I were talking about it last night. Christian McCaffrey is unstoppable to these linebackers. I don't know how you contain him in the passing game. Yes, he's a good running back, but he is much more lethal as a wide receiver out of the backfield. That's how good he is. So Kyle Shanahan can scheme it up perfectly. Brock Purdy's playing as good as he's ever, been played before. The 2023 season, they were better offensively than they were defensively, and that definitely is the case right now. I would say that right now, I think they're on par with the offense from 2023. And I know that they were consistently scoring more points that season, but last night they're just getting hot going into the postseason. And I think that they can go score for score with a lot of these other teams that have these, explosive offenses. The Rams, the Seahawks, the Bears. I don't think they're as explosive as an offense. The Bills, maybe. The Bills are kind of in the same boat right now, where the Bills try to outscore people. Their defense is fine when it comes to pass rush, but they're not going to stop anybody. So, yeah, that's the biggest takeaway for me. Is I know that Phillip Rivers lit him up last night, and that was impressive in itself. I will give a ton of credit to the 49ers with their run defense, because I thought it was going to be much more of a challenge compared to facing the Panthers or the Falcons with those two running backs, Bijan Robinson and Rico Dowdle. I thought that Shane Steichen would do a little bit more with the running scheme, but no, he knew that was going to be taken away, so let's just drop back the pass and throw with Phillip. There's going to be no pass rush, and they were able to shut that down, and it was only a matter of time before Phillip, he was carving him up, but eventually his arm was going to give out. You saw a couple of deep shots he took, and those kind of died on him, plus the interception. Great read by D. Winters to return that ball back, looking like Navarro Bowman from the pick of the stick, 12 years ago. But the defense can make plays in the run department, and that's going to be key these next 2 weeks, because that's how the Bears and Seahawks operate. So if they make them one-dimensional, I think it will go in the 49ers' favor, where, like I was talking about earlier, Phillip Rivers can read a defense and not get, not panic, where if Robert Saleh gets a little more creative with his blitzes, where last night he was just kind of letting the defense kind of figure out Phillip Rivers for the first half, and then he started lining his ass up a little bit more. I think that Phillip was, definitely not fearing anything that Robert Saleh was throwing at him. I think that could be the case with Caleb Williams and Sam Darnold. Not to say like out of nowhere they get this unbelievable pass rush, but they can do some things to confuse them. So, yeah, man, last night was the first time where I thought to myself, I don't know if the 49ers are the best team in the NFC, but for Week 16, I think they were. In comparison to the Rams and Seahawks, Bears, Packers, Eagles, all these teams that I've been talking about, for the most part of the NFC, last night was the first time where I was like, damn, they're playing as good, if not better, than all those teams. And they're getting hot in the postseason. And it's just a weird year where you may not need a great defense. You need a defense that can make plays, but not one that shuts out another opponent. So if the 49ers are able to outscore their opponents and get home field advantage the rest of the way, then yeah, who's to say they may not be able to win the Super Bowl this year?
Yeah, I know it's crazy. And I still like the Seahawks are a well-oiled machine, but again, I still need to see more from Sam Darnold. And it seems like these games against the Panthers have been the ultimate trap game for teams this season. So I think this is like a really good litmus test for the Seahawks to see if they're the true number one seed. Like the Broncos, for example, losing to the Jaguars. I think, sure, they have the most wins in the American Football Conference, but, they ended up getting blown out by the Jags, a team who a lot of people counted out. I don't know about. I'm still skeptical though with the defense. I don't fully agree on them stopping the run. It was pretty telling when they mentioned that Jonathan Taylor had been sick all week. Like I don't think he was right. I just don't. It was. I mean, of course they did well in stopping him, but I don't think he was 100% by the way that they were describing it on the broadcast. And but if the offense is humming the way that it was, then offenses are going to, or the opposing offense is going to have no choice but to throw the football anyway. Yeah. This 49ers thing, man, I know Grant asked the question. I know Grant Cohn asked the question to Kyle Shanahan last week about Kirk Cousins and how he went to the podium and talked about different coverages, disguises, and how protections and setting the audibles and all that, how that's changed over the course of the last year. And, the fact that he would have to cover half the field and only look at half the field. And that's where he would go through his progressions. But now it's the full length of the field because guys are throwing so many disguises. And Kyle Shanahan combated that in a way that said, look, defenses, you can be as innovative as you want. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have my running back constantly prepared. I'm going to have him run in the flat. I am going to have him run a simple route up the middle of the field. Yeah, sure. You could throw as many disguises as you want. You could throw as many coverages as you want. We could be disguising cover 3, but really we're in cover 2. We could be disguising zone when really we're in man. But I got the best receiving running back in the league. So I'm going to use him, and you can try and stop that. And if you sell out to try and stop that, well, I'm going to hit Juwan Jennings on third down. I'm going to hit George Kittle, who usually beats his man one-on-one. I thought last night too, and maybe this is just me, but you mentioned Brandon Ayuk off top. That Jake Tonjes incompletion, which maybe should have been a touchdown. I don't know. It could have gone either way. I really
it should have been a touchdown. It definitely should have been a touchdown.
Maybe I don't know about that though. I don't know about
that. He got both feet in.
Yeah, he got both feet in, but I don't know if he had possession. And I think the refs know a little bit more. I think refs know a little bit more than we do when they're looking at a replay like that. Well, I really do.
Yeah, but there's sometimes we see things and they miss something.
Stop giving yourself so much credit. You're not that smart.
Stop it. What the fuck are you talking about? We've been watching football for a long time. We saw the replay, caught that ball.
Okay, but you're not a ref. Okay, that's what I say to everyone who thinks they know it. That's what I think. That's what I say to everyone who tries to reverse a ref's call on a review. You're not as smart as you think you are. How about that? How about that,
Jesus.
Huh? No, but whether it was or it wasn't, I still think that was very symbolic of the 49ers and Brandon Ayuk because many consider the greatest receiver, the greatest incompletion in Brock Purdy's career was that one where he rolled out to the right and hit Brandon Ayuk in the end zone, but it was an incompletion because I think Brandon Ayuk stepped out of bounds.
Which game was this?
God, I can't remember which.
Okay.
It might have been like against the Packers or something. But it was very similar where he rolls out to his right and he hits him and he's trying to keep 2 feet in as he's diving out of bounds. It felt like that was just symbolic of that. Hey, Brandon, you can make this decision, but we don't need you.
Yeah.
We got a good quarterback. We got guys who can catch the football. We don't need a number 1 wide receiver. And maybe that's what was bothering him. And maybe he was coming to that realization, even though that he got paid, he wasn't going to be used like a number 1 receiver. Maybe that factored into whatever decisions he's been making as of late. And I just felt like that was very interesting how those 2 plays almost mirrored each other. Yet it was like, hey, we don't need you anymore because
Yeah.
we got these other guys too.
No, they don't need these big-time wide receivers anymore. That's why I don't know what's going to happen with Juwan Jennings in the offseason, but he fits so perfectly what the 49ers want to do. If you could get him for $15 million a year, I think that's perfect. But anything above that, like the rumors were he wanted $25 million a year, I want to go close to that. I think he's a really good playmaker, but you don't need a number one. Like the number one in the 49ers offense is Christian McCaffrey. He is a wide receiver at this point. Yes, he makes the occasional 20-yard run every now and then, but he's so dynamic in the passing game. And I wonder why more offenses aren't run the same way. Why isn't Jahmyr Gibbs, like he gets screen passes and he catches a lot of passes, but it's not the same thing with McCaffrey or these other running backs that come out of the backfield. So it's just a testament to Kyle and how great of a play caller he is. And I thought it was great praise from Troy Aikman during the game last night, being like, if I could come back and play, which I won't, but if I were to come back at 60 years old, I only want to play for one head coach, and that would be Kyle Shanahan. And he's just running circles around defenses. That's where, if they face the Eagles, if they face the Seahawks, I think they could put up some points, and they may be able to go score with people, but I don't know if the defense could stop anybody. I think that they can definitely throw some things. I think Robert Saleh is a great play caller when it comes to defense. But at the end of the day, this team is going to probably give up 20 to 25 points a game. So Kyle's mentality is to be more aggressive than in years past. He doesn't have Nick Bosa. He doesn't have Fred Warner. So I have to score close to 30 points a game. And let's see if they continue that during the playoffs. But at this point, Steven, I mean, do you think it was crazy that we were even having the conversation of Mac Jones over Brock Purdy? Because I understand why we were, because of the toe injury, and he was playing very well. But in hindsight now, he's on a different level than Mac Jones. Mac Jones is a really good quarterback, and I don't doubt for a second that he'll move on to a different team and be a bridge quarterback for whoever, the Dolphins, the Colts, even the Chiefs maybe. But Brock Purdy, there's a reason why they paid him. There's a reason why Kyle Shanahan want to go forward with him. I think he's that much better than Mac Jones.
Well, of course, in retrospect, it was a dumb conversation, but we were in the heat of the moment. We needed something to talk about.
It was the heat of the moment, but also it was the toe injury. Like the way that Brock Purdy and Joe Burrow are playing right now, it goes to show that they needed time off to heal their toes. But yeah, I didn't know what they really thought of this season. I didn't know if Kyle at times thought it was kind of fool's gold, even John Lynch, where they weren't aggressive with the trade deadline. They were successful with Mac Jones, but did they want to rush back Brock? Like I have this mentality because that's the way that Kyle was talking about it during training camp with SiriusXM Radio and Trent Williams, saying, this is not a Super Bowl or bust season. This is honestly like, let's go back to 2017 or 2018 or 2019 where we're feeling things out. We got this new core. And then if we make it in the postseason, let's see what happens. So I didn't know what this, the front office thought about this team, but they're 11-4 now, and they're staring at the, first overall seed in the NFC. So anything's on the table right now.
Yeah. And I think another thing to me too is something that's drastically different from last year. And this may be obvious, but it's the special teams.
Oh God. Yeah, dude.
We got in Sky Moore. It feels like every single time, except for that one play where he kind of caught it when it could have gone out of bounds. But when Sky Moore is returning punts, it feels like he's always going to go for a big game, or even with a kickoff. Like it just felt like they're playing with such conviction right now. And yeah, dude, they said as much. Like they're saying as much after the game about their culture, about their mentality going into this season, especially after the injuries, which is like, we're playing with nothing to lose right now. Like no one's expecting anything. Let's just look, we can win. Like we're a really good football team, even without Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, just instilling that confidence. And I think another thing that we're seeing is the rookies start to pan out on the defensive line. We haven't really heard much from CJ West, obviously, because last night he got his first sack. But that was a big boy sack. That was just taking on a double team, which was helped by Yetur Gross-Matos, but taking on a double team and just bull rushing and getting to the quarterback, which is what made him stand out at training camp. And then Alfred Collins obviously getting that punch out. You're seeing those two guys just start to shine. And we haven't even, when we talked so much about Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, forgot Michael Williams.
Yeah.
They don't even have their first round pick right now.
Yeah.
It's just the vibes, dude, just immaculate. And
Immaculate vibes.
I like that. That's the does any head coach use the word dude as much as Kyle Shanahan? You watch that mic'd up segment?
No, I have not.
Everyone is getting a dude. You get a dude. You get a dude. Hey, Brent Jones, it's a ceremony for you. You get a dude. What's up, dude? Good to see you, dude. All right, dude. All right, dude. See you, dude. Big dude guy.
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah. Did you see that little moment with him and Mac Jones?
From last night's game?
Nah, last weekend. Last week's.
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, great mic'd up if you want to watch Kyle Shanahan. All right, let's go with this one, dude. Dude, it's dude all the time, dude.
Yeah, man.
But the beginning, because it was his birthday.
He's a dude type of guy.
Mac Jones goes up and says,
"Did you know that, Steven? Did you know that was his birthday last Sunday?"
No.
So it was something I brought up during the interview we had with him, where I kind of phrased it weird, where I was like, "Happy early birthday, Kyle. Sunday is your birthday." And then Copes was all like weird about it. I was like, "Why would you say it that way?" I'm like, "Because I was saying to the audience, so I just clarified that it's his birthday on Sunday." Then I asked him what was his favorite football moment when it came to his birthday, and he was like, I don't have a lot of good memories when it comes to my birthday. I remember getting a Vespa when I coached the Cleveland Browns, and that's the week where they went to Johnny Manziel and we got shit out 30-0. So, like I said, I don't have good memories on my birthday.
That reminds me of my grandma. One time it was her birthday, and we were all talking over Zoom, and I asked what her favorite birthday memory was, and she said, "I don't really have one. All my birthdays were during the war."
Oh, good Lord.
Like, God, Grandma, it's been a long time since the war. Like, you've had a lot of birthdays after that. Let's go, Grandma. Anyway.
Make some good memories.
Yeah. She's not in a good way right now. Anyway, we don't don't need to talk about that. But the point of me bringing up the Shanahan thing was at the beginning when Mac Jones came up to him, he's just like, "Hey, Kyle, happy birthday, man." And he's like, "Oh, thanks, dude." And then, and then he's like, "My sister told me. She found out on social media." He's like, "Oh, no way." And then he's like, "I thought I was 47." And I talked to Saleh, and I told Saleh it's my 47. Then he said, "You're not older than I am." And then I found out I was 46, dude.
How do you not know that? Come on.
Listen, when you are focused that much on football, how much do we really? I mean, Derek, what have we said about our birthdays? Every time we've talked about our birthdays on here, it's just we talk about how much it doesn't matter. I imagine that when we were into our 40s, we are going to have that same mentality.
Who am I to say, like, you know, at a certain point, like when I get to 45 or 46, whatever Kyle is, and I'm like, I don't even think twice about it.
Yeah, it's like, you know, the 21st. I don't know why the 25th is kind of cool, but then the 30th. Then after 30, it's all just downhill, right? Like that's what we've said ever since we both turned 30. And I imagine that's the same for Shanahan, dude.
Yep. No, I need to go back and watch those. Yeah, he's a big dude guy.
Big dude guy. And the vibes are immaculate right now for the 49ers. Yeah, I think in my opinion, they're playing as good as any team in the NFC right now. It's just a matter of the defense making plays here or there. But as far as quick hits around week 16 in the NFL. Just laughing at Ernie. Kyle aged more than Obama in office.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean,
Kyle looks way older than Tony Vitello.
He does.
Shanahan's a year.
Got a lot more gray now.
Yeah.
Tony
will get there.
He will. Couple of seasons, which probably will happen this year, where people call for his head because they lose to the Dodgers. Steven, what was, in your opinion, the best game of the weekend? Not even the weekend, of the week. We haven't even talked about Rams Seahawks from last Thursday night. That was incredible. The Bears come back against the Packers. The Lions Steelers game that ended in ridiculousness. Just what do you think was the best game? Not even to mention the Ravens Patriots.
The one I was locked into the most, I mean, I would say the Rams Seahawks, just because who doesn't love, mean, was Isabella Danger in the crowd? A good comeback. Like, who doesn't love it, right? It was fun to watch.
We all love a good comeback.
There was a lot on the line, and with
especially Chris Pine.
And just the drama, whether that call was ridiculous on the
2-point conversion,
2-point conversion, whether, it was a backwards pass or an incompletion, whether it was a fumble, whatever, all of that just added to the drama. So I would say that's number one.
I would agree.
Steelers and Lions was a close second, because the Steelers, you're getting kind of a vintage looking Aaron Rodgers. You had the whole DK Metcalf thing happen in the middle of the game, so that added to it. And then you had, again, more drama towards the end with the Lions. And what I'm like, I get calling the pick play in those situations, but come on. And, Amon-Ra St. Brown catching that in the end zone, getting called for the OPI. I think it was Isaac Teslaw, and Teslaw Coleslaw got called for that. Yeah. And then that play at the end, though, man, where Amon-Ra gets caught at the end zone, obviously didn't cross the goal line, didn't cross the plane, gets pushed back by the Steelers defense, has the wherewithal as he's going to the ground before his knee touches to toss it to Jared Goff, and then Jared Goff going full Superman into the end zone, only to have the flag get called for an OPI. The Steelers bench coming out on the field because they think the game's over. You hear the Lions crowd not know what's going on because they cheered several times when watching the replay. And then when the ref made that call, which was super confusing because he said it's ruled a touchdown, and then he said this and this and this and that, and then just
not
said
reviewable, game is over. I was like, the Lions just win this game? Holy shit.
That's what I was thinking. I think a lot of Lions fans thought that. And then you also had a Tony Romo, just vintage Tony Romo.
Here we go.
Jim, I don't know.
Jim, there's a lot going on in this last play. Not going to speculate. He loves saying that one too. Oh, there's an injury right there. Looks like a torn ACL. I'm not going to speculate.
How about the?
He loves doing that. He just, came a little bit in his pants. Oh, Jim. I know. We'll get the white wipes, Tony. Dolly Parton. So I'm with you, dude. I think the Rams Seahawks was the best, but let's start with Steelers Lions. I thought this was going to be a bloodbath for the Lions, scoring if you were to tell me that this final score was 48-27, I would have believed that, with the Lions putting up that many points against the Steelers. But the Steelers held their own. I'm surprised sometimes that the Lions don't operate with the same fluid nature of the 49ers. And I know that they don't have the same offensive line, and the protection up the middle is not great, their interior protection, but their offense is so talented, and they can just turn it on like that when they're down 15-10 in the fourth quarter, or down, 22-10, and then boom, okay, we need to score on 3 straight drives. And they're able to do that. That's why, them missing out on the postseason, potentially, it seems like it's going to be that way, is like the Bengals not getting to the postseason last year. Well, they'll finish with probably a 9-8 record or 10-7, but you're like, damn, this team is too good not to be in the postseason. But the reason they're not is because of all their defensive injuries. You saw it in this game where the secondary is brutal, and the safeties cannot get contained on the running backs. That's why Jalen Warren had 2 40-yard touchdown runs. The play by Kenneth Gainwell was incredible. This was the best I've seen Aaron Rodgers play in quite some time, as far as looking like vintage Aaron Rodgers. There was a point where he had a play action fake and just winded that thing up, looking like him against the Lions 10 years ago, where they had that Hail Mary with Richard Rodgers. But yeah, everything with the craziness of the ending. I thought that they scored. Amon-Ra St. Brown, it's the same play that they've run all season long, where they have him on the goal line. He gets open in the right corner and he's wide open. But the reason he was wide open is because I think it was the right call. Tesla definitely ran a pick play. But then again, how many times do we see a pick play happen? There's no flag thrown.
That's the thing. They pick and choose, right? And
they do.
I do think we get more up in arms when it's not called rather than when it is.
Yes. And then the play, that offensive pass interference drives them back. And then 4th and goal, Amon-Ra St. Brown's just 1 yard short, flips it to Jared Goff. In real time, I was like, holy shit.
Dude.
And if they call defensive pass interference, I was like, that's the greatest ending. That's better than anything we saw with Rams Seahawks. They got it right, though. Amon St. Brown did not need to go right into Jalen Ramsey and push him. If he doesn't do that, they win the game on the most spectacular play. But, he did that, and it's disappointing. I would like to see the Lions win that game and have the potential of making the postseason, but the Steelers were the better team. The Steelers were the better team. Yeah.
Yeah, I agreed. And it's funny how Rodgers after the game, this was also, obviously it was on Sunday, so Ian and I were watching this as well.
Yeah.
Veronica and Jesse were there too. My sister-in-law, my wife, they were there on the couch. But
okay,
just gotta had to mention it. I don't know, just in case.
Okay.
Ian was like, God, Aaron Rodgers is so cool when he's not on the Pat McAfee show.
Yeah.
I'm like, you mean when he's just not talking all the time? I'm like, go listen to a 3-hour podcast with Rogan and talk about whether you should, whether he's still that cool. But he is that cool. When things are rolling and Aaron Rodgers is slicing and dicing at a defense, he is cool. And then you see all the, the mic'd up stuff earlier.
Yeah.
Who was he talking to? He was talking to a Lions corner, I think. And he was basically asking, like, what year is this for you? And he's like, year 8. He's like, good shit, brother. Like all that kind of shit. It was cool. Anyway, but it's funny how he has this connection with Kenneth Gainwell. And
wants to get him paid, apparently.
God, I've just never had never had a guy like Kenneth Gainwell. I could have used him. I'm like, yeah, but instead you had big old tub of butter Eddie Lacy.
Tub of butter. He's a big boy. No, honestly, like that's why. No, but like that's why I wonder why. Like back in the day, Reggie Bush would have been so good with Aaron Rodgers. Like that's why Tom Brady in the second half of his career, like Shane Vereen's and Danny Woodhead's, Rex Burkhead's. Is it Burkhardt or what was it? Rex Burkhead, right?
Burkhardt.
No, it's Burkhardt's the play-by-play guy.
Oh yeah, then Burkhead.
Yeah. It's good to have pass catching running backs
or Danny Woodcock, as
exactly. Thank you.
Likes to call him.
Yeah, Theismann. Deion Sanders lost his shit with that one. But he's laughing his ass off. Woodcock. He said Woodcock. I'm just surprised like more offenses don't use those type of players because you need a pass catching running back to pick up third downs and just dump it off the safety valves. It pays dividends. It's paying dividends for Brock Purdy right now.
Derek, I think we are going to see a change next year. As we hear all the time, it's a copycat league, and I think a lot of teams were searching for their own version of Saquon Barkley from last year, but in reality, there's probably a safer value option with getting a running back who can catch passes, and it gives your offense a lot more flexibility with what they can do downfield with what defenses are doing now. So I think we're going to see a turn of the tides next year, really.
Well, I think that was the case for a while where you saw, Alvin Kamara be that type of guy. And obviously a couple years ago in Jahmyr Gibbs, people thought that Bijan Robinson would be more of a pass catcher, and it can be at times. But I think, like the Rams, they have two guys that run the football very well. Not great catching the football, and Kyron Williams and Blake Corum. You've seen so many times where the ball clanks off their hands and almost led to an interception for Ernest Jones on the Thursday night game. Before we get to that game, just the DK stuff. He's been suspended the last 2 games, the regular season, for punching the fan. And apparently he and this fan have history going back to a season ago when the Seahawks played the Lions. The report is that the fan in question called DK by his full government name, and DK did not like that. Now, there's also another story that Chad Johnson said on the nightcap where the fan in question called DK a racial slur and said something about his mother. And if that is the case, then you can't act that way, but I don't have an issue with DK punching him in the face if the fan went to those links. But from everything that's been shown, and the NFL had their own investigation, all the fans around them said they heard nothing like that. I have to say, if anything comes out otherwise, then I'll change my opinion. It sounds like DK just overreacted. And that's why he's going to miss the last 2 regular season games. He appealed. The suspension was upheld. Next time we see him, maybe we'll be in the postseason.
Maybe, but I go back and forth. Like Metcalf, I guess should have kept his cool, but I don't like it when a fan's just agitating a singular player. You know, I think I understand that you have to have thick skin as an athlete, but if it's happening over and over and over again, what do you expect is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, man, but you can't go in the stands and punch somebody.
I know. That's why I go back and forth on it, because you can't, but God, that fan's just egging him on and egging him on, you know?
I hear you. It's annoying. That's being a fan though at being a spectator at a sporting event. Now, if he
Yeah.
said something out of line, then I'm not saying DK has a pass to punch somebody, but he has a right to be angry. I thought that Mike Tomlin, I guess he's getting his side of things from DK, where he said, I don't condone what he did, but I support DK. So until we hear from DK's mouth, I have to go with what was, shown with video evidence and what was reported. The fan was just calling him by his name, and then
Yeah.
DK didn't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I still go back and forth, but I think the big thing from this game, another 500 season for Tomlin.
Yeah, man, he's never going to die. He is never going to die. Like, that's where I think we create hot seats for coaches in the media, but in reality, like, we don't know exactly what's going on. Like, I thought for certain that Mike McDaniel was going to be fired after that Thursday night game with the Ravens earlier this year, and he's staying. We haven't talked about it, but Tua's bench for the rest of the year, and we'll talk to Tommy Call maybe in the offseason about this, where what they do with the dead cap situation. It's gonna be like 99 million or whatever, or 90 million, close to it. They can make it a post June 1st designation, but they're moving on from Tua, and I think that's Mike McDaniel's way of saving his job, because he knows he can find another quarterback. But yeah, sorry, I don't even know what the hell we were talking about. I don't know why we went on to Tua.
Mike Tomlin, Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, Mike McDaniel. Sorry, it's been a
Hot
long
seat.
day. Hot seats, like, people create things, with Mike Tomlin because they're tired of the same winning seasons that don't go anywhere. Like, do we really think the Steelers are going to make some noise in the postseason? I don't know. Maybe.
Right.
But I think when fans get upset with something, doesn't mean that ownership's going to change things. I think they're happy with Mike Tomlin, so I don't see him going anywhere.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really think there's much more to it, man.
There's not.
All I got to say is steak, ham bone.
Yeah, the classic bad lip reading with Mike Tomlin for back of the day. Yeah, with the Rams Seahawks game for back on Thursday, just real quick, the 2-point conversion, I thought that was nuts. I thought that they would not rule that. They got the call right, but I've never seen a play like that where it was clear. I think everybody gave up on the play, and even though Zach Charbonnet recovered in the end zone, I was just shocked that they reversed that call. And with the post game press conference with Sean McVay was hilarious, where he tried to stay restrained and professional, but you could tell he was pissed. Everything he was dealing with Puka Nakua's whole thing with the live stream earlier that day, and I'll say that when it comes to that, Puka needs to have better judgment, but I don't blame him for that situation. I blame Aiden Ross and the dumbass people involved with that stream. But as far as that game, that was thoroughly entertaining. The Rams up 30-14 in the fourth quarter. I thought that Sam Darnold would never bring his team back, but he grew up that night. Where we're seeing a change with Sam Darnold. I know that you're saying that's the one big thing with you, and it still is with me when it comes to the Seahawks. But that was a big stepping stone moment for me, where he was able to overcome a deficit and get over the turnovers and have a clutch moment in the fourth quarter where he threw the touchdown pass to Jackson Smith and Jigba and got the 2-point conversion. So
Sure.
I come away with that game feeling better about the Seahawks, but not as good as the 49ers. And as far as the Rams, I mean, Matthew Stafford's had an amazing season, and Puka Nacua has been unbelievable. They were able to put up 37 points without Devontae Adams in that game. And Stafford, to me, is still MVP. But it's their defense. They have a great front seven, and they can get after the quarterback, but their secondary is not great. And it's the same situation with the 49ers, where they may just have to outscore teams to keep pace with them.
I agree. But the thing I don't believe from the Seahawks, or why I'm still not totally sold, is, well, they had that big punt return for a touchdown, and they also had that big run from Rashid Shaheed that only led to just a quick one run and then a touchdown. And then the Seahawks were right back in it like that. I thought that was more like a fault of the Rams and not so much Darnold coming back. Like, he was great in that overtime matchup, but I agree it's either that or whatever you do, get the ball in Stafford's hands at the end of the game. Don't let the Rams defense close the game. Like, it can't be the defense that is on the field while the clock's winding down. You have to let it be Matt Stafford, and I think that's pretty obvious. And another thing that they are missing that they do not have right now, even though it wasn't that evident in this game, they really need Devontae Adams back if they want to do
in the red zone.
Playoffs. They need him in the red zone. They were talking about it all night on that Next Gen Stats broadcast, where Devontae Adams, I think, got like 60% of the target share, and the other 18% to the rest of the wide receivers, and the rest goes to the tight ends. So I don't think they really knew how to operate in that department, and I think they could really use him to come back. But overall, a really entertaining game. And I don't know, maybe in the overtime period, maybe we get a situation kind of like the 49ers in the Super Bowl, where it's like, you know what, we'll kick off to the other team. We'll let them receive. We want the ball at the end here because we're going to rely on our quarterback. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that, if they get into another overtime situation.
Well, I wonder if more teams will go for two now, like the way the Seahawks did, where they know they're not going to get another possession, so they have to go for two to win the game right then and there.
Yeah, and they didn't want to put the ball in Stafford's hands. They did not want to.
Exactly. But my pops brought up an interesting point where the Rams should have gone for two to make it 38-31, and I think that's a little too aggressive, because if you don't get that and they score a touchdown, you lose the game. It's better just to tie the game up and go up 37-30 and then force the Seahawks to get you with a 2-point conversion. The 2-point play was great, where there was so much going on, and then Eric Saubert, the former 49er tight end, just leaks out, at the backfield, or no, sorry, not at the backfield, but at the line of scrimmage blocking, and just gets wide open on the play. As far as other games, I mean, the Bears comeback over the Packers was incredible. I thought the Packers were dictating most of that game with their defense. Even without Micah Parsons, that was a great game plan. And the fact that they lost Jordan Love and Malik Willis came into the game and had a perfect touchdown pass to Romeo Doubs, they needed to close that game out with their defense. And Mike Silver, I thought, nailed it, where it was honestly a replica of the 2014 NFC Championship game, where they were leading that game against the Seahawks, picked off Russell Wilson 4 times. Then a score leads to an onside kick, and then that leads to the game going into overtime, some wackiness, and then a touchdown throw, a deep touchdown throw off a play-action fake. Very reminiscent of Russell Wilson and Jermaine Kearse. Same play with Caleb Williams to DJ Moore. And this was the type of game that the Packers need to close out a regulation, because you can't expect Malik Willis to help you out when the game is tied. You need to be able to run the ball and move the clock, and that onside kick killed them, in my opinion. Same thing with the Ravens and Patriots game. I don't know. Quick thought for you, Steven, with the Bears and Packers game. I just thought that the Patriots-Ravens game was similar in that regard.
I didn't even get a chance to watch it because I was at a Christmas party.
Fair enough. With Patriots Ravens, it was the same deal where the Ravens had a big lead on the Patriots, and Lamar Jackson got a back injury in that game. Tyler Huntley had to finish things out. But if you need Tyler Huntley to get you back into the game, that's not what backup quarterbacks, unless you're Mac Jones this season, that's not what backup quarterbacks are supposed to do. Just maintain the lead and run the football. The Ravens, for whatever reason, their last 2 drives, not running with Derrick Henry was inexplicable. I don't understand why they went with that, but it just shows the resilience of the Patriots and how they were able to come back in that game. And maybe that loss last week against the Bills will help them out going forward to kind of reset and evaluate where they are with their team. So, yeah.
I got nothing, man.
Fair enough. Just quick questions. Do you feel any differently about the Eagles or Bills after their wins? Did you see any of that?
God, no, I did. And no, not really. Like, the Bills, did what they were supposed to do. And of course, honestly, the thing that stuck out to me more than anything was after the game when Shedeur Sanders is answering questions. And I thought he was really professional. It's really interesting how the media is trying to kind of get one of them to play the blame game, where it's like, what did you think of your coaching staff going for it on fourth down, blah blah. He's like, see, man, I don't know why you're asking that question, man. And then like he kind of goes into Dion mode.
Yep.
That was the thing that stuck out to me. But other than that, what was the other team that you mentioned?
Bills. Oh, sorry, Eagles.
Nothing. No.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Where I think both teams are bad on one side of the ball. I think that the Eagles are bad offensively. I think the Bills are bad defensively, and maybe their experience will just carry them through the AFC and NFC playoffs. But I think about the same with
but that's also my thing is that with the Eagles, it hasn't changed in that nothing impressed me. But I still think they're that type of team that can turn it on in the playoffs, and maybe we see like a different side to the Eagles that we just haven't seen in the regular season.
Yeah. Feeling differently about the Panthers with their win over the Bucs? You think they're in the driver's seat to win the division?
They are just the ultimate spoilers, man. Yeah. They are in the ultimate no, they're not in the driver's seat for the NFC South, but it's just so inconsistent.
Well, technically they are, but like, do you think they're going to get it?
They are, but I'm not so sure because it's all back and forth, dude. It's a teeter-totter.
I know.
Win loss. And like, we when we were picking games, I told you like, God, I'm struggling with this one because it should be a Panthers win here. And then I ended up choosing the Buccaneers because I was like, God, they got to go against the trend here. They got to break that, but they did not. And so next week, if the trend continues, then, well, we're going to see the Seahawks with a win and lock up the 1 seed potentially.
No, definitely. They're so inconsistent. I think the Panthers play up against the better opponents. So I don't know. We'll see.
They got their quarterback. I do think that.
Yeah, they definitely do.
They got their quarterback. Bryce Young's outstanding.
No, he has been. I dropped my pen. Let me find it in a second. Last question for you. Are the Jags potentially the best team in the AFC right now?
God, man. I want you say best in the AFC.
Best in the AFC right now. They put a whooping on the Denver Broncos.
I don't know which team's the best in the AFC right now, Derek. How's that for an answer? They looked great.
Neither do I. I don't know who's the best team in all of football right now, Steven.
I mean, it might be the 49ers.
It might be.
It might be the 49ers. I don't know at all. Yeah, I mean, Otis Perry makes a good point. The Patriots might be the best in the AFC right now.
After the Bills were able to come back and win that game, I'm not so sure.
Who knows, man? Who knows?
Just real quick, we don't need to play the clip, but this whole back and forth thing with Sean Payton and Liam Cohen this week, where Payton initially was talking about the Jaguars, and I know Ernie's gonna have a field day on here with me with the way I'm pronouncing this, but with Payton earlier this week, he talked about Jacksonville and saying that they're a really good team, but they're a small market team. And then Liam Cohen referenced that in his post-game press conference. And to me, look, Liam Cohen could find material in anything when it's Robert Saleh talking about sign stealing and all that stuff. If it motivates you, it motivates you, whatever. But I didn't think that was disrespect. Honestly, Jacksonville is a low-market team. They are. That's why they don't get these big-time games. I mean, both teams were well above 500. This was put on Fox. And it wasn't the marquee game. CBS didn't want this game. So I understand they're using it as bulletin board material, but I thought it was kind of ridiculous where Sean Payton is just stating the facts, honestly.
Yeah. But it seems Liam Cohen takes a lot of things personally.
He does.
I mean, we saw it earlier this year.
Yeah.
He doesn't really let things go. They are, but I think there is a part of that which is condescending. I do think that. But this one, but this I think goes to show though, and I think kind of confirms something that maybe we thought kind of evaporated in these last few weeks. But Bo Nix, just was not that great.
He's inconsistent too, man.
Defense, man, and that's where it's like, can he do that? mean, if they lock up the number 1 seed, okay, that's one thing. But can Bo Nix do that for 2, 3 straight games before the Super Bowl? Like, can he have those types of performances where it's not turning it over, just being efficient downfield? I do wonder about that with the Broncos, and that's why I'm hesitant to anoint them, the AFC representatives in the Super Bowl, because I just don't know about the quarterback.
No, that's fair. I mean, he's been so inconsistent this year, so I'm definitely buying Drake May more than him. I'm buying Josh Allen more than both of them, but right now, Trevor Lawrence is playing out of his mind. He's playing really well. So between the 4 of them, I would say Josh Allen's playing the best, then Trevor Lawrence, then Drake May, then Bo Nix. And usually when we grade things when it comes to the playoffs is the quarterbacks and the head coaches. So that's kind of how I see things right now as far as the AFC. All right, before we get out of here, Steven, let's pick the Christmas Day games. And I know you love football on Christmas Day.
Okay, but you could admit that this slate sucks. I did a report on that at KCBS. I was a little more professional and worded it differently, but this slate is
it's not great.
Awful.
No, it's terrible right now because of the injuries. And
I get what the schedule makers were going for. It's like, okay, the Cowboys and the Commanders, like the Commanders are probably going to be fighting for the playoffs with Jaden Daniels, and the Cowboys are going to be right on the heels there. It's a division matchup, and everyone loves a good NFC East matchup. Who doesn't? But then, the Lions and the Vikings, all right, cool. We got a battle of the NFC North and a repeat of last year's regular season finale, and now J.J. McCarthy's hurt. And then in this next game, I mean, what's more to say with the Broncos and Chiefs? The Chiefs are down to a quarterback that you couldn't even name until you had to look him up earlier, and that's you, Eric.
I know.
So if you're like, the way I tagged it out, I was of the report, I was like, listen, if you're deciding what to watch between the NFL and the NBA and you just can't seem to, I think it's a pretty obvious choice of what you'd want to watch if you had to pick.
I hear you. And yes, these games are not great. But Otis Bird says in the chat here, will be more NBA watched on Christmas this year? I don't think so. I think people are going to watch NFL.
I disagree.
Dude, it's still the Cowboys playing the Commanders. It's still who else is playing? Minnesota and Denver. Detroit playing Minnesota. Denver, KC. I mean, Holmes is not playing. I mean, that would definitely outrate the NBA. Yeah. I don't know. Well, I'm going to watch them both.
You're going to watch them both?
Yeah, I'm going to watch both.
Here's a dirty little secret. I can't really watch sports on Christmas.
Why is that?
Well, it's because, Jazzy's
you've been saying that for a while now. That's why you don't like it.
Well, no, yeah, that's in part why I don't like it. I think it's just too much for the NFL. I think it's a money grab, and you wonder why all these injuries are happening. I think it's because of all these damn games that are being played in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, probably.
Like if Jared Goff or something. Can you imagine if like one of the few starting quarterbacks that's actually playing this week on Thursday ends up getting hurt?
Yeah, that'd be terrible. This late in the season. But we're going to get more of it. There's going to be, next year it's going to be on Friday. There's going to be probably 3 games again. Saturday, same deal. And then when we get to Sunday, there's going to be a bunch of games on Christmas Day.
Yeah. Just historically, I like my dad, not being a big NBA fan, he would obviously he'd be cool with having the Warriors game on. But after that, it's not like I could watch the rest of the NBA slate. Usually had to turn on like an Andy Williams Christmas or some weird old British show. And Jesse's not the biggest NBA fan either. So obviously the Warriors and Mavericks will watch that. But other than that, it's no chance that I'm convincing her that we're going to watch some football on Christmas Day. No shot.
I'm a freak, but Otis Bird in the chat here saying well, there's some interest stuff. There's, we got the Warriors, Lakers, and Rockets playing. LeBron playing KD, that will get some eyeballs. Clay coming back to the Bay Area, that's a local thing for us, I think.
Yeah.
Because the Mavericks are unwatchable right now.
I agree. Though Cooper Flag's intriguing, that's for sure. And don't wait.
I gotta be honest. I watched a second of Cooper Flag this year.
Well, he wasn't that great to start, but he's on a heater now. Hang on, AJ. Yeah, what? Andy Williams. Hey, who the hell is Andy Williams? AJ Cruz says. You ever
He's a
heard that?
singer.
Yeah, you ever heard that Christmas song where he's like, "It's the most wonderful time of the year." Like, I get it; they all sound the same, but that's Andy Williams.
Yeah, he sang the original theme song to The Godfather.
Yeah,
Speak softly, love, so no one hears us but the sky.
an old crooner.
Yeah, definitely.
Dude, he although my favorite Christmas song, it kind of got canceled because they used the F word in it. But it's the Pogues, Fairy Tale of New York.
Yep.
Just an all-timer. I love it. Dude, I turned that on in the car. Woo, boy, do I belt that thing, except the F word. I don't say that part. But man, it was Christmas Eve, babe. In the drunk tank.
I know. Every year we do a show before Christmas, you reference the song, and then I end it with playing that song. But yeah, it's a good one.
An old man said to me, "Oh,
my personal favorite is Backdoor Santa."
Ew.
It's a good song.
By who?
But Clarence something. Hold on, let me figure it out.
Clarence Clemens?
It might be Clarence Clemens.
Bruce Springsteen, saxophonist. Rest in peace.
Oh, is that him?
Yeah.
Backdoor Clarence Carter.
No, that's not him.
And it's a great line with, "I'm a backdoor Santa. Santa only come once a year, but I come all the time, baby." All right, anyway. All right, Steven. These NFL matchups on Christmas Day, Dallas taking on the Commanders, Cowboys favored by 7, over under 50.5.
Yeah, I'll just lay the points with the Commanders, and I don't know. I'll go over, I guess.
It's the Cowboys that are favored.
Excuse me. Lay the points with the Cowboys, and I'll go over.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing. All right, then we got the Lions taking on the Minnesota Vikings. Max Brosmer is your starting quarterback. JJ McCarthy's out. 7.5-point favorites for the Lions. Over under 43.5.
Lay the points with the Lions. Give me the under.
Yeah, doing the exact same thing. This might be chalky for both of us. All right, and last one, the Denver Broncos taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. The Broncos are 13.5-point favorites. Over under 36.5.
Yep, lay them with the Broncos. Give me the under.
Just to be different, I'll go over. I'll go over with the Broncos. All right, everybody. We see you guys, I think, on Friday after Christmas. Well, I guess we'll react to these games, but maybe we'll just talk about something else since these games are kind of shitty. The Sharks are losing 7-1 right now to the Vegas Golden Knights. Yikes. And that's about it. Steven, big plans for Christmas?
It's a packed little Christmas. Not really. Actually, nothing on Christmas Day. It's going to be me and Jesse just hanging out, doing our own thing. Christmas Eve, though, then the 26th, which traditionally in England is Boxing Day.
There you go.
And for anyone who's wondering, it's not watching Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua in a fight.
Yikes.
Where it's just, I'm getting tired of these damn fights where just afterwards, whether it's against Mike Tyson or Anthony Joshua, it's always someone out there who says Jake Paul stood in there with a heavyweight champ. You need to give him his respect. It's like, I'm tired of this guy just getting participation trophies and a bunch of money, and he just goes out and loses. Like, great, got knocked out, even though he said he was going to kill him. But Boxing Day, for anyone who doesn't know, is I guess it's the Christmas that the royal family would give to the servants when they were so busy on Christmas Day serving the royals. So this was their version of Christmas for those that were butlering at Buckingham Palace. And it's a big day for soccer, English Premier League. It's think of it like the NBA or the NFL on Christmas Day, English Premier League on Boxing Day. It's a thing.
Nice. Well, there you go.
You.
What's up?
You.
For me, for Christmas, I'll be hanging out with the family, probably watching these terrible NFL games along with some NBA action. And, probably watching The Grinch. That's our usually go-to movie. Or Elf or whatever else we think of when it comes to Christmas movies.
Yeah, we watched Elf the other day. It's good
Nice.
stuff.
Nice. And everybody, you guys have yourself a merry little Christmas. Steven, you and Jesse have a merry Christmas. We'll see you guys on Friday. To Rock a New Era, to AJ Cruz, to Otis Burger's The Word, to, I think slowing down here, to Ernie One. I believe that's it. Oh, Mac Van, Don Peralta earlier, and Skills. Thanks everybody in the chat. We will see you guys on Friday. Steven, say what you always say, my friend.
Ooh. Ah.
What the hell?
That shit I'm not going.